Hey everyone, Coomber Radio, episode number 210. I don't know if you've noticed that my maths has been very good of recent. I've remembered numbers, I've got it right, I think I'm on point, I'm on fire. And actually, before we go into the show, oh, by the way, Rachel's here. Rachel, hello.
Hi Betty, how are you?
I'm very good, but first, I have something on
Okay.
my chest. We're having an interesting conversation at the weekend, me and my girlfriend, about kind of like school and education and teaching, that kind of stuff. And I often joke that I'm retarded at maths, and it's not something that sometimes I'm naturally good as a problem solver and stuff. And it made me think, because we're having a conversation about like what we liked at school and what schools tell us we should like and we should do to be successful and all that kind of stuff. And it made me think about all the skills that I have as a person, and none of the skills that I would say I excel in as an individual were skills that my school tried to make me do to be good at life. You know, maths, science, English. Like, don't get me wrong, they're all foundational knowledge bases. Like, it's good that I know about the world and geography and have a grounding in lots of stuff. But me as an individual now, like, I'm so glad I did creative arts at school. Like, I did art, I did design technology, I did acting, I did theatre. So I did all the things that interested me in my strengths and didn't listen to my environment, because all my school went on about was, oh, if you do that, you won't be successful. We can't really advise you in your career path. We think you should just go into the military. And then kids at school would be like, oh, why are you doing that subject? It's a Mickey Mouse subject. And makes you think how so much of our education is built around stuff that quite often won't allow you to succeed as a person and doesn't really play on your strengths as a person, because we've all got skills, right?
Absolutely. It's a funny one because I think everybody obviously needs a base foundation knowledge in, English, maths, a bit of science, etc., etc. But I think you get to an age at school where, you should let children sort of grow on their own path and have their own skills, and they should be nurtured from a very young age. I went to a very academic school, and my my sporting career wasn't nurtured. So I had the opposite. I was opposite in the same. I was pushed in very much down an academic route, which I didn't really know any different at the time, and I sort of did the sports stuff on the side. But in hindsight, if I had my time again, I would love to have had that sporting side nurtured.
Hmm. Thinking about it, like, if I didn't go to a school that even had the potential for me to nurture that as much, I would have failed in so many more aspects of like what I did. Like, if I had to take maths for A level or something, I would come out like not knowing what to do, feeling really kind of almost the new education system had failed me and I'd failed myself as a result of it. And the reason why the topic came up is because we were talking about like what we would do with our kids when it came to education, and like trying to find a school that was really well rounded in sport, arts, and allowed kids to find their own path, and then just support that kid on whatever path they want to be. Like, if they want to be an artist, great, go be an artist. Like, we should not dictate what other people want to do if that's their burning desire to do that.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's a hard one, isn't it? I think as a parent, you just do the best of your abilities. I mean, I was shit at maths. Like, I'm very good at spending money. That's as far as my maths goes. Is counting things, and sometimes I have no idea even what the exchange rate is. So really, my maths is terrible. I did like that second, what's it called, the second tier GCSE maths. So I didn't even do like full maths GCSE. That's how bad my maths was. But I passed it, so it's all good. And I use a calculator now, and I have a calculator on my phone. So really, it hasn't damaged me too badly.
Luckily, you and me aren't in charge of world finances.
This is true. I'm not an economist. Oh God, how do I say it? Economist.
Economist.
Oh my God, I've totally got my blonde head on today. I'm so sorry. You have to forgive me. I'm down here in Sydney. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. It's now okay. It's only 6:20, but I'm a little bit got my blonde hair on today, so God knows what could come out for the rest of the show.
I
Shall
think
we begin?
I think it made me think as well, because I think we live more now in an age, and I don't know if this is just where I sit in my job and what I try to do, is that we are more in an age now where we try and push people to follow their passion, like especially
Yes.
in our space, in our industry. Like, the health and fitness industry is full of very passionate people. And, I'm always saying to people, like, if you're not in a job right now that you don't enjoy, then look to change it. It might not be changeable in a month. It might take a year, 2, 3 years to like do what you want to do. But you've got to work towards what you're passionate about. Otherwise, every day is a case of, I've got to get up and work today, rather than I've got to go up and do what I love.
100%. Like, life is way too short, and of course it's a huge passion of mine as well, like helping others find their passion and something that they love doing. And frequently we see it all of the time in what we do. We see people who have got very high paying jobs and they come at a big sacrifice. And I think particularly as you grow through life, like, money isn't everything. And I think especially in your 20s, like, you can be very financially driven, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you've got to realize that it sometimes comes at a cost, and you can still make money doing what you love. And like you said, that there does have to be a transition period. Like, if you're in a job that you're just doing, your 9 to 5, and you're hating Monday mornings, it's perhaps time to start looking outside the box. Similarly, and I will say this as well, because there's been, obviously over the past couple of years, a massive shift towards like being, in inverted commas, an entrepreneur and an own business owner. And I can tell you now, the amount of people that I consult with as well, that they're not suited to running their own business, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay to go and work for somebody else, and you can have your own little aspect of that business and, your own thing within a bigger company. And that is completely cool. Like, you don't have to go off on your own. You can still work on your own terms, working for a much bigger organization. So, it does work both ways.
Yeah. There's big value in that. It's called being an intrapreneur.
Yes.
Yes. That just means you have desire and drive and passion within an organisation that someone else has built. So that means you get structure. You don't have the pressure of all the external factors. So yeah. Anyway, interesting topic.
That's a really cool and a powerful place to be as well. To help create something huge as part of a team. Like, and those people are just absolutely invaluable. You find the right company and you are well looked after.
Right.
Awesome.
Today's show, we've got some questions. I've seen quite a few comments around social media saying, when is Rachel back?
Well, I'm here.
She is here. There we go. I think it's mainly because we've just been travelling. Rachel back and forth to, not back and forth. She's there, Sydney and stuff. So anyway, we're here. But we're gonna roll reversal today. I'm gonna read out the questions because as I was going through today's questions, I thought these are kind of a little bit more Rachel. So I'm going to throw them onto Rachel first, and then if I've got 2 or 3p, I'll stick that in the old box. So let's get stuck in. Hi Ben and Rachel, I'm a huge fan of the podcast. I've been listening for nearly 2 years now and always looking forward to downloading your weekly shows. Ben, I'm a huge fan of your Monday short podcast. They're really short and snappy, providing me some great entertainment while driving to work. I've been wanting to write for a few weeks now, and I think my question hasn't been covered by you or both together. I'm in my mid-20s, happily married for nearly 3 weeks now, and soon plan to start having a family. I lead a healthy, balanced life. I enjoy exercise, predominantly weightlifting, compound lifts, with short cardio and HIIT-based sessions. I follow a balanced diet, no restriction on carbs, and I've gained probably 9 to 12 pounds of weight in the last 18 months. I don't want to give my weight away at this point, as to my question is relating to starting a family. Perhaps it is more suited to Rachel, so I ask, what is your experience of working with females who are thinking about trying or starting a family? Does your approach to weightlifting change? Do females need to look at alternative forms of exercise such as yoga or Pilates? I'm keen to know how I can work to ensuring my body is in optimum condition to carry my babies and afterwards recover effectively. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to hearing your comments on a future podcast. Thank you, Hannah.
Okay, cool. This is a cool question. However, I just, I need to be clear here. When we're talking about weight gain of 9 to 12 pounds of weight in the past 18 months, like I don't know at this stage whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. It might be a good thing. Like Hannah might have been underweight before, and she's now put on weight so that she's a healthy weight. I'm going by that assumption based off the fact that she says she follows a balanced diet, no particular restriction on carbs. And she enjoys exercise, predominantly weightlifting with short cardio and high intensity training interval sessions. I would have thought that I'm just presuming here that weight gain is a good thing and she's still within normal weight limits. Is that what you kind of
It sounds like she's built a bit of healthy muscle. Sounds like she's been training and she's just she's become a bit more athletic, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about women and starting and trying to start a family and considering starting a family. Now, this seems to be a kind of a bit of a theme of mine really over the past 8 months, and I think a lot of the women I've been working with have been in a very similar situation to this. And obviously, the question is, how healthy are you right now? And I think that needs to be the number one thing. You have to be in an optimal state of health. And it sounds like Hannah is doing all of the right things. Now, there are some women who go overboard and get obsessed with this. I have to be super healthy in order to be able to carry my child. Now, that can sometimes do more harm than good, particularly if you're looking at trying to conceive. When you're trying to conceive, your body needs to be in a good balanced state. You need to be managing your stress levels. And of course, if you're worried all the time about if this thing has got toxins in, I shouldn't be eating this, and I need to make sure I'm taking these vitamins, I need to make sure that I'm doing X, Y, and Z in order to conceive, the chances of you conceiving are less because there is more stress on your body. So it's really important to enjoy the process, take things very... when I say with a pinch of salt, don't get so obsessed with like looking at what has toxins and things in it. Like the body is a very strong detoxifier. And I bring this up because it's something that women get obsessed with when they're starting to look to conceive. One of the biggest reasons why women struggle with fertility is because of their stress levels, and particularly mental stress. And obviously, Hannah is doing a good job with her physical stress here and her nutritional stress in inverted commas. So she looks like she's got a fairly balanced diet and a fairly sensible training plan. But we have to look at here, mental stress is a big one with females. So in terms of does training change when you're looking to conceive? No, I think the most important thing is that you have to do what you're used to. Now, obviously, if we're taking somebody, let's take an extreme example here. So somebody who might just be, might have done a little bit of swimming, a little bit of yoga, and then all of a sudden you think that you should start lifting weights, and you might kind of go join a CrossFit gym and then all of a sudden start training CrossFit super hard, as well as trying to conceive. Probably not the best idea. But in terms of if you've been lifting 4 or 5 times a week, nothing needs to change. When you do conceive and you do fall pregnant, it depends. There are so many shades of grey, and this is why fitness professionals have slightly differing opinions. It's because they've had different experiences with different women. So some of the things that I would say, I mean, there are some obvious ones, you're not supposed to let your heart rate go over 145 beats per minute. Like, generally speaking, like if it goes a little bit over that, well, it's okay if you're very fit and it comes back down quickly. But we have to talk in general terms. And the truth is, it's about being sensible and knowing yourself and your body. So if you have terrible morning sickness, as an example, obviously you're not going to be able to get to the gym 5 days a week. You're going to have to modify your training. So if you've got bad morning sickness, try and get out for a walk. You can set the best intentions of when you fall pregnant that you're going to follow this particular nutrition path and, you're going to only eat these things. I can tell you now, like if you've got morning sickness, you're probably going to be on Farley's rusks. You're probably going to be eating bread and toast. You're going to be probably like putting all that gluten in your body. That might be the only thing that you can stomach. And you know what? That's okay, providing obviously you don't have an intolerance to gluten, but that's okay. And the female body is an incredible thing. So it is able to withstand a fair bit of pressure before it gets really sick. Now, we're going to come on to a question later on in this program, which I'll kind of revert back to this question then. But like I said, the most important thing is you're happy and you're healthy. In terms of weight training, it depends. And, after when you've got a little bit of a bump, then, how far do we want to go into this? If you start to get a little bit of a bump, inevitably your training has to change. You see women who might be professional CrossFit athletes, professional athletes, and they're doing, front squats and, heavy push pressing and stuff when they're almost full term. Would I advise that as a coach? No, I wouldn't, but that's my personal opinion. And, I don't train women like that. I wouldn't train women like that. I think they're at serious risk of prolapse. I just think that there are too many things that can go wrong, and we have to look at risk versus rewards. And I think that's the biggest thing. So when it comes to training, a lot of my females who are pregnant, it's a case of we do a lot more isolation movements, I suppose. We can still squat. I might perhaps have them do sumo squats and some goblet squats, single arm overhead pressing. Again, it depends. It's a very grey area. It's something that I've considered bringing an ebook out on or some kind of product. The truth is I haven't, because it's a grey area. I don't really know where to start. I think some general guidelines perhaps do need to be put in place though.
I think people always need to obviously trust their own body and just listen to what is happening within that environment. Like, if you are very well versed in the gym and you are used to squatting and dead and like all this kind of stuff, if you get 5 months in and you do a load of squats and you're like, do you know what, today that didn't feel right, the bump is there, it's now starting to become a problem. I think at that point you say, right, okay, how do I regress this movement? Mm-hmm. Let's take this into a leg press and only work at 90 degrees, so I'm not putting pressure on the abs and the stomach area as much. That way I'm still getting a training stimulus. I'll drop the weight slightly. I'll probably push for a bit more volume rather than, I'm not really pushing and creating that intra-abdominal pressure. I think as long as you listen, and, if someone was getting pregnant, I wouldn't expect someone to do anything too new.
Oh, totally.
Exactly. So you need to keep doing things that are very familiar to your body, so Absolutely. When there's a change. Like if you were a runner and you did a lot of running, you would know when that started to become problematic, or you thought there was a problem and there shouldn't be so much jiggling around, so to speak. So I think play it safe, scale it back slightly, listen to your body, and I think only you can be the very best person to program your exercise when you're pregnant.
I mean, I see these videos floating around of women still back squatting, front squatting 70 kilos, and push pressing 50 kilos, and if that's what they choose to do, that's fine. But if I was your coach under my watch, that wouldn't happen. I just think the risk far outweighs the rewards, and we have to look here at, okay, so what's the purpose of training whilst you're pregnant? The purpose of training whilst you're pregnant and the purpose of training pre-pregnancy is to make sure that you are in the best health and you're the strongest that you can be to give birth, and thereafter look after your baby. Now, inevitably, fat loss and hypertrophy is not going to be a priority during pregnancy. So, at what cost? Why would you go and do that when there are plenty of other things that you can do instead? In terms of Hannah asking about should I do alternative forms of exercise like yoga and Pilates? Look, yoga is so underrated. I'm a huge fan of yoga. I think more people should do it. It definitely helps with your strength training, not just for mobility, but for strength around a joint. So a segmental joint level. I think yoga is fantastic. I think Pilates as well. Exactly the same, particularly that lower abdominal control. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Should you take these things up when you're pregnant? Well, if you want to. But the reality is you can also still keep lifting weights as well.
I think my only two things are to reiterate your optimal health. If you suspect anything health-wise in you, like even if you've still got a little bit of eczema, you've still got a little bit of something, like sort it before you try and get pregnant, because remember, that's the way that your genes are expressing themselves right now. So there's the potential that if you have the body in a state of inflammation, especially bacteria. Remember, when the child passes through the vagina, it picks up the bacteria within the vagina, which then that bacteria goes down the child's mouth and starts off the bacterial growth within their stomach. So you do not want incorrect bacterial balance when you're looking to give birth. That's a really important thing. So if you've got inflammation, you've got ill state of health, you've got to think how that is going to be passed on to the immune system of your child. Very, very important.
Of course. And then I'll draw like, completely the opposite end of that as well, because whereas I take that opinion, I'm also aware that, again, like I said at the beginning of this, some women take it to the extreme and they're so pedantic about it that it causes a lot of stress. Now, we've got women, like one of my good friends in London, she's a consultant obstetrician, and we've had this discussion. We've actually run a webinar on pregnancy, and a few of the things that I've discussed with her, like she delivers babies from some seriously obese women who are obviously, to us, look very unhealthy, but yet they're still able to carry a child. So, although of course we want to be in the best health we possibly can, don't get obsessed with it, because the body is an amazing thing. And although you don't want to be that extreme person who's very overweight carrying a child, because it makes for a very difficult birth, makes recovery very difficult, and it makes breastfeeding very difficult. And obviously then, what you can pass down to your child in terms of genetics. However, there is, a continuum, and there is a scale in there as well.
Then I think my only other thing, I don't know what your opinion of this is some people, I find that when they become pregnant, everything becomes super calm, and it's all about the baby, and like let's do things slowly, and let's be calm, and like there's nothing wrong with a bit of stress around your environment. It's like anything. If there's too much, then that's absolutely fine. And the only real argument I've got with this is I always used to debate this with a guy I used to work with when I was really young, and he said when he was younger he was a really big raver, and he loved rave music. He loved like drum and bass, dance, all this kind of stuff, and he didn't want having a kid to put a dampener on that. He didn't want him having the child to really change his life. So when they were pregnant, they still went out to music events. They still exposed the baby to loud noises, all that kind of stuff. And he says when the children were young, we could put on loud music downstairs. The kid could be asleep upstairs and they'd sleep absolutely fine. And he always put it down to exposing the baby to that stimulus when they were younger. I know people that like talk certain things to their child. They sort of read them things that they want them to be familiar with when they come out, and they believe there's a familiarization process. So I think there's definitely an argument for still exposing it to certain stresses and stimulus that you want it to be kind of okay with when it's born, maybe?
I'm not quite sure I'd expose my child to loud drum and bass. Trance maybe, but look, everyone's got their own way of doing this. And when you fall pregnant and you've got a bun in the oven, look, everybody has their opinion, and I think as a parent, you just have to make the best decision based off what and perhaps your close relatives. If your mum is there to help you, if your mother-in-law is there to help you, well then good on you. But everybody has their opinion. Now, I don't have children. I have a 4-year-old goddaughter who is more or less mine when I'm here in Sydney, and I know with her mother, gosh, she got so many opinions of different ways of parenting and different ways of doing things. And the truth is that you just have to find your way of doing it, and that might have influence from how you grew up and how you were parented. But essentially, the decision is yours, and don't be afraid to say to people, as with anything, don't be afraid to tell people to keep their opinions to themselves. You can be polite with it, or you can be quite standoffish with it. But I think essentially you gotta make your own decisions. So let this be a warning to anybody who tries to give me parenting advice when I fall pregnant. Your words will be falling on deaf ears unless you're invited into a conversation. Thank you very much.
Very, very true. Right, let's move on. Hi, Ben. First of all, I just want to thank you and Rachel for the podcast. I've always enjoyed your work, but I have to say I'm loving that you're including more around staying true to yourself, the positivity and the mindset aspect. I really believe that it's time the fitness industry dropped the whole go hard or go home mentality and took more of an authentic and holistic approach. As an ex-fitness competitor and personal trainer, I've been guilty of the same approach. I applied the all or nothing to my training and diet for far too long. I've recently discovered that my hormones have suffered, my menstrual cycle has been absent for over a year, and my estrogen levels are at 107 and should be between 200 and 2000 to be considered healthy. My liver is also... Sorry, excuse me.
Bless you. You made me jump then. I'm just writing notes and I didn't see that coming.
Got ya. My liver is also showing slightly higher levels of fatty deposits of which can't be explained. Having got engaged and settled into our home, I now feel ready to consider having children in the near future. However, with these issues, my fertility is obviously the main concern. I visited my GP 6 months ago who sent me for blood tests and a scan which uncovered the above. They advised that I needed to increase my weight and body fat and also be prescribed northosterone 5 mg, which I eventually took reluctantly, but still no luck. I have since been back and they are doing further blood tests and sending me to a liver specialist and gynecologist for the second time, but apparently this could take up to 3 months. I've put on 3 kilos and now weigh 9 stone 4 pounds at 163 centimeters tall. I'm 31 years old. I know that I still need to increase this, which I'm working on. I've reduced my training to 5 days per week, 4 sessions of weight training, and 1 is a long walk to reduce my stress levels. I feel quite lost as I'm unsure what else I could do in the meantime to improve my health. The doctors have suggested including soya in my diet, but I'm not convinced this is the way to go. Even if you don't read this on the podcast, I'll be very grateful for any advice. Thank you, Tori.
Okay, so I think this is a fairly straightforward one, to be honest. I think it doesn't need to be any more complicated than, obviously this has been going on for quite some time. You don't get to this state of your health where you lose your periods without quite a significant period of damage to yourself. Now, the first thing I would do is eat more. At 9 stone 4 and 163 centimeters, 9 stone 4, what's that in kilos? It's about 53, 54 kilos, I think. Can you just calculate that for me? I don't do pounds, I'm still in kilos.
Well, this is like live, real-time action. It's like live news reporting. It's just not quite as fun.
I told you I was bad with numbers.
It's about 60 kilos, basically.
No, it's less than that.
Well, it's 59. 9 stone 2 is 58.9.
9 stone 4. Okay, so 58.9 at 160. Oh, okay, so she's still within a healthy weight range. Thought she was lighter than that. So essentially, I don't know if this does come down to weight or not. It might be that you need to put on a little bit more weight and how underweight you've been for a long period of time. But the most important thing here is that you need to eat more. We need to eat more. We need to make sure that your hormonal levels are starting to recover. Now, obviously, you're training 5 times a week. 4 of them are weight training sessions. 1 is a long walk. Now, from an outsider's perspective, I don't know what you're doing in those 4 training sessions. I would say that 4 training sessions is fairly moderate, actually. And if you're walking as well, I don't have a problem with that. So we're definitely looking to eat more. I'm going to dive deeper into this and I'm going to kind of read between the lines that for somebody... Huh?
I was waiting to see where you were going to go with this question. No, go on.
No, am I stealing your thunder?
No, I have no thunder. It's yours. Go.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to read between the lines here, and you said that you were still all or nothing, that you were all or nothing with your training. My suspicion is that you probably still are to some degree, and there's a lot of psychological stress that goes along with that. I think there's probably some lifestyle and stress management stuff that needs to be worked on here, particularly in relation to managing your state. Now, when we talk about state, you might be walking around in a not in a particularly life enhancing state for most of the time, and that's very stressful for the body. So, for women, particularly coming from an ex-fitness competitor point of view, a lot of women walk around in a very anxiety-driven state. It's very fearful, very much a perfectionist state where nothing ever feels good enough. They're lacking self-esteem. All of this is very mentally stressful on the body, and therefore when you're in that pit consistently for a long period of time, inevitably you're going to have some hormonal changes. Now, I'll use an example of one of the girls that we've had actually in our program. She is an ex-fitness competitor as well, ex-bikini competitor. She's been with us in Chase Life. She's now in our Chase Life Elite program. She joined in April. She hadn't had a period for about, it might be 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years. And just last week or the week before, she had her first period. Now, it was unfortunate for her because she happens to be in Ibiza on holiday. But time, you can't pick your times, but she'd done a lot of work. Now, this is a corporate-driven girl who was super stressed, always put everybody else first, had to do everything perfectly, and an ex-fitness competitor. You throw all of these stresses in, her body has basically turned around and said, you know what, no more periods because you're not in a healthy place to support a child right now. So to be fair to her, she worked really, really hard. We got her onto what we call baseline nutrition, making sure that she's eating enough. And the biggest thing when you're in a situation like this is you must be patient. This takes patience, it takes time, it takes work. You may need to gain a little bit of weight in order to get your health back, but patience is key. It's taken you probably a couple of years to get to this stage. It's probably going to take months to get back to a healthy stage. And, to get regular periods again, it could take a year, 18 months. You should be looking at, like, if you're on a good sort of nutrition plan, you're managing your stress really well, looking at seeking some help for state management. So making sure that you are in more life-enhancing states rather than sort of that anxiety and fearful-driven states, being in more confident, calm, and assertive states. Patience is the number one thing. It takes a long time for your body to heal. When you've got a hormonal imbalance like this, I can't put a time frame on it, but it could be a couple of months, it could be a year, it could be 18 months. I don't know, but patience is the number one thing. You got yourself into this, you can get yourself out of it. It doesn't need to be complicated, but it needs to be a simple, structured plan to move forward.
Yeah, I don't think physical is the issue here. I think it's mental. I think this is definitely a mindset area. And
definitely.
Every time that a fitness competitor has come and asked me to work with them, I've always talked them out of it. And I talk them out of it is because I don't believe that many people enter into fitness competition with the right mindset. And I think people that do it for a long period of time are chasing a lot of elements in their life that are not right. They are seeking external validation, they want perfection, they don't value themselves enough, they're always working harder, and nothing's ever perfect. Like, they might look amazing to every single person they meet, but it's still not enough. They've still got to give more. And, that sounds like that might be you, Tori. It sounds like there's a lot of, as Rachel said, like this underlying chronic state of anxiety of that things need to be better, things could be better, what can I do? And then if anything's not right, feeling guilty around that, feeling stressed. And don't get me wrong, going for a long walk is a stress relieving process. But to think, and again, this is already an indication, to think I need to go for a walk because I'm stressed, I'm doing this to de-stress, then actually already that's not the right mindset. You're going to be struggling to relax just in that walk because of how you've approached that walk and mentally what you think that is going to do for yourself. So I talked about meditation last week with Mark Devine, who was a superb guest, and I was like, I don't meditate as much actively anymore because I'm very good at subconsciously always meditating. So when I'm in quiet moments, my brain will naturally go into a meditative state rather than me sitting down and going, right, now I need to meditate. And again, that is a practice thing. You need to practice to get your body to a point that it naturally, when it's not going through times of stress or doing things, it naturally relaxes into a meditative, creative, relaxing state of mind.
You've literally just hit the nail on the head here, and I think this is probably the biggest takeaway out of any of this. And when people struggle in a nutrition plan, or whether it's a training plan, or they're struggling with motivation in inverted commas, or they're just struggling to get to their goals and be successful, it's because it's not part of their lifestyle plan. So it's still something that their brain thinks, I have to add this into my life. Now, inevitably, when you're learning a new skill, such as meditation, you're learning a new skill, such as cooking, or baseline nutrition, or training, and you're starting off with, okay, I'm learning to go to the gym on a regular basis now. Inevitably, that takes some hard work, and it takes some grind, and it takes some graft, but these things must become part of your lifestyle. Like, don't think that just because you're doing a 6-week program, you're going to get a body transformation and that body transformation is going to be sustained. Unless this becomes part of your lifestyle and you have a significant lifestyle shift, you're going to be grafting for a very, very long time. People make the method the outcome. So, we'll look at diet, for example. You might go on a reduced calorie diet. So let's just talk about a diet. You shouldn't be dieting forever. Women are dieting forever now. And what's the outcome of that diet? The outcome is to get to a particular place and a particular goal, particular body fat percentage, where you should be able to maintain. If you're looking at dieting to a point that is unsustainable, you'll be dieting for a very, very long time and probably being very unhappy with it. So what is your outcome? What do you want? And the nutrition plan should be sustainable over a long period of time. And sure, you know what? We're all human. We all put on a little bit of weight now and again. And we all have to rein it in at times. But that's the outcome. It's not the method. Like, you don't have to be on a particular diet plan for years and years and years on end. There should be, it should become your lifestyle.
I'm going to give all the ladies listening some homework, because I think this is a very important process to go through. People will often listen to podcasts and create to-do lists. I'm going to do this. I'm going to change that. I'm going to do this. And the thing is most people are in a place where they do not have the capacity to do more. They're already doing too much.
Yep.
Like, we're just adding stress. So perhaps one of the first lists you need to make is a not to do list.
Yes.
Not to keep saying yes to everyone. Not to do that thing for other people where deep down you didn't want to do it and you just wanted to take some time for yourself and maybe just couch in front of the TV for an evening. We're so good at creating to-do lists, you've got to cut stuff away. Like, I am brutal with my time management. Like, people,
so am I.
like, I have to warrant people that get my time, because I only have so much mental capacity. I only have so much love and time and energy that I can give before it fatigues. And if I can't look after myself, then I can't look after other people effectively, can't look after my dog, my girlfriend, everything that is close and important to me. So
I love the fact that your dog came before Lizzie. Poor Lizzie.
Whoa, don't point that out. Like, we could have glazed over that.
Sorry.
Awkward.
Sorry, Lizzie. I'm sticking up for Lizzie.
I think it's because I spend more time with the dog.
I know, you're going to get me for that later. Sorry, Benny.
Yeah, I am. You're dead.
Are you going to continue, or have I just
done.
ruined you now? Sorry.
So, I think we're done on that anyway.
Okay, we're done on that one. Next?
Next is, I'm just going to read a little story to end the show.
This is cool. I really like this one.
Yeah, this is really cool. So, hi Ben. I appreciate you're super busy, man, but I just wanted to say a quick thank you to both you and Rachel. I've cropped up twice on your podcast now, the vegan who's 30 and wants to be a PT but has wobbly legs about it all. Firstly with my question, and then what a lovely lady wrote in to say I should definitely do it. I would hate to think that you might have thought the advice had fallen on deaf ears, so I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you where I am now and how your epic advice has shaped that. But firstly, another thank you, as I recently treated my partner to the seminar that happened in Norwich with Stephen Aish last month. It's changed his mindset no end, and I've noticed a huge difference to his confidence and outlook on life. I've been preaching similar ideas for ages, but sometimes it takes that third party to clarify, confirm, and give more real life examples. I bought it for him as an anniversary present, and it's the best money I've ever spent. My life has taken a curveball. You said in your answer that you did not think I was ready, and you were right, I wasn't. I was offered a job with a very cool luxury brand and a salary that tripled mine. I took it. Why? Because I had to give it one last push and get it completely out of my system. This job is enabling me to put aside a good lump of money every month, which means I can afford to take my personal training course and make a start while having a cushion behind me, something that I realised was important to me. And not only that, but it's a very customer-focused job where I do a lot of client entertaining. So I'm getting to hone my communication skills while being sent on various courses that will only enhance my abilities now, but also in the future. Finally, it's confirmed that life in the corporate world is certainly not where I wish to be in 5 years' time. I'm taking the opportunity to enjoy what's on the table, but it's also to support the bigger picture. I was not ready to take the leap before, but this curveball has meant I can plan for my future and deal with my demons. One of which is that I'm financially prepared to make this move. I've also decided to study naturopathy at the same time, something that I've always had a keen interest in and hope will go hand in hand with being a USP to me. I'm a huge believer in everything happening for a reason, and this job pretty much ended up on my doorstep with a label saying, "This will finance your future." Well, I think so. And your advice that you thought I was not ready yet was true. So thank you. Thank you for changing lives for both me and my partner. Thank you for your week-on-week honesty. Thank you for trying to make life more simplistic, something we could all do more of. Thank you for keeping it real. Society is so good at getting wrapped up in this shit that is not relevant, life-enhancing or healthy, and we desperately need to realise that getting back to basics and enjoying life is what really matters. Keep up the fab work, and I'm so chuffed about your latest venture. Thanks again, and I look forward to writing you the email that says, "I'm a PT." Cat.
How good is that?
Cool, eh?
That's cool. Thanks, Kat.
But I suppose, with that, it was so nice to know that someone had really planned and mapped out and listened. And the thing with a podcast as well is sometimes it's not that it's falling on deaf ears, but you listen to it, what's the word? Passively. You're doing something else. You're not always 100% concentrating, but Kat's really taking this in, letting it sit with her, thought about her options, her future, why she's doing this, how she's going to get that, and I love that. It's just so nice to know that people are really being thoughtful about their progress. And I've talked about it before that sometimes I wish people would take more action on what they listen to on this podcast, but perhaps you're one of those people that are listening to this show too passively. Like, I know people that will sit down for an hour in a quiet room and listen to this podcast with a note, pen and paper and take notes because they want to really use this information. So if you want potentially life-changing stuff to change your life, then you've got to be open and receptive to it. You've got to be listening. You've got to be willing. You've got to be in a place where you will take that in and use it.
Awesome.
Right, that is it.
Very wise words.
That is it for another day. That's goodbye from me. You know where to find me online. You know where to find Rachel, Athletic Fox. She talked about her Chase Life program today, which she's mentioned a few times. Make sure you get in touch with her if you feel that is something that resonates with you. the last the last comment with Kat, she mentioned that she'd been to one of Stephen Aish's seminars. Mm-hmm. He's a BTN mindset coach. He does seminars around the UK. He does Skype stuff, so feel free to get into him. He's coming on the podcast in a couple of weeks' time to share his wisdom around guilt, which I think is
that's a huge one.
Yeah, I think it's a topic we've talked about but not really fully understood on how to manage that emotion of guilt and how it drives so much of what we do.
Awesome.
So that'll
be a good one.
Podcast over. Have an awesome week, everyone. Keep making steps to be better. That's all we can ask of ourselves. Also, don't take the pressure, put too much pressure on ourselves. Life is there to live and be enjoyed and embrace things. And I will see you for the Short and Sharp show next Monday. And me and Rachel will be together at some point in the future when we organise ourselves.
We will. I'm here until I'm in Australia for the next month. I've been here for 2 weeks already, so I'm down here 6 weeks. But yeah, let's arrange it.
All right, everyone.
Long trip this time.
Take care. Stay awesome.
Bye.
Hey everyone, Ben Coomber Radio, episode number 210. Flying into the 200s now. So this is a quick Monday show again. I've got a question